GettingPositiveKarmaNow.com presents Bhagavad Gita for All, lectures by Nalan K. Narula, recorded in front of a live audience.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Last time we had completed chapter 14, and that was the chapter on the three qualities of material nature, the three material modes of nature. And that chapter 13 is actually the transition chapter at the end of the Bhakti Yoga sequence, where you are getting now knowledge about how to approach the divine, or what is actually spiritual consciousness, material consciousness, what is material nature, what is the flow of creation, how does it work, where does it come from. And now we are at chapter 15, which is about Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. And actually, this is the path to liberation. This section till the end is about how to be liberated from the material zone of existence and to realize the ultimate supreme truth, who is Krishna. So this is a very significant chapter, and the significance of this chapter is that there is a very clear-cut understanding, as further developing the theme of the previous chapter 14, that what is the cause of the material existence, what inspires the individual to either remain in the material world or to go towards the spiritual. If there are any questions about chapter 14, the three material modes of nature, we've already done a review. If you want any clarification, we can take that up before starting with chapter 15. Does anybody have any questions? The internet community, if anybody has a question on chapter 14, otherwise we will proceed to chapter 15. No one? Okay. So then we will start with chapter 15. So the Yoga of the Supreme Person, chapter 15, text number 1, Shri Bhagwan Vacha, Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham Ashwatham Prahu Avyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Ya Tam Ved Sa Vedavit. So the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna said that the scriptures say that the material world is like a banyan tree, which is imperishable, and yet it is temporary. It has its roots rising upwards and its branches going downwards. And the leaves that nourish this tree are the Vedic hymns. And one who knows the truth of the nature of this tree is called a knower of the Vedas. Now, for those of you who do not know what the banyan tree is like in its construction, and basically it's a very, very long-lived tree, and it has roots that come down from the branches, and the roots also go up to form other trees. So it is a very unique kind of tree, that it has aerial roots that come downward and take root, and then the roots also go upward to the upper zones to form separate new trees. So that's how this tree expands. So this is a very wonderful simile given for material existence, because this is how material existence actually expands. There are a number of significant things. This tree is actually likened to a tree which is reflected in a body of water. So when you see a tree reflected in a body of water, find that the image that you see in the water is the roots are going upwards and the branches are going downwards. But behind it there is the reality of the other tree which it reflects. And the image may be temporary in the water because it may sometimes be there, the image, depending on environmental conditions, and sometimes the image is not there. Sometimes the water is not there. So it is not permanent. And yet this tree is permanent. So what does that mean? That means the person who is attached to the material existence, for him it is eternal. And for one who is not attached, through knowledge and through detachment, he can cut down this tree. So, urdhva moolam, upward rising roots. There is another reason why this image is upward rising. The material world is that image of the spiritual. So the roots at the level, if you consider a middle level, there is the tree that is growing up, and then there is the reflection with the roots going up and the branches going down. So this tree, the reflected tree, the material world, the roots are upwards, and that is because there is an aversion to the highest spiritual principle, which is the Supreme Lord. So an aversion to the Lord is actually creating this material existence. So those who are here are actually averse, they are inimical or averse or want to be away from, want to be independent from. So that is an aversion. I don't want to be near you. And therefore, for them, there is a whole creation made so that they can play in that sandbox, and that is sometimes permanent and sometimes not. But it is apparently a contradiction, but it is not, because the transient nature of this tree is for those who are connecting to the spiritual and who follow the spiritual path. Now, the word used here is Chandamsi. Chandamsi, Chanda means the Vedas, the lyrics of the Vedas, because this is coming from the Sam Ved, which is the musical Ved, and they're beautiful rhyming poetry, measure, lyrics. It's all about prosology, it is all about poetry, and it is embodying all these truths, and it is one of the most revered Vedas because it is the origin of the Vedanta philosophy. And the Sri Adi Shankaracharya, he has quoted from the Sam Ved, in fact, the Chanda Yoga section, the Chanda Yoga Upanishad part of it, more than any other scriptural reference. So, these establish the ritualistic procedures of the Vedas. So, this is the Karam Kand section. So, the Karam Kand section of the Vedas are what gives life and nourishment to this tree. So when a person is involved in the Karam Kand section following the Vedic injunctions, it is actually meant for elevation in the material world. So it is very difficult to get out of this into the spiritual. So therefore Krishna, right from the beginning of his conversation with Arjuna, has been saying, get away from the Vedas, because they are actually the nourishing leaves of the tree of material life. That's another way to understand it. This is becoming more and more clear as we move on in this conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. And these actually nourish, like trees, the leaf of a tree is nourishing the whole plant. If you don't have the leaves, the plant will eventually die. So Krishna is saying that one who knows the truth of the nature of this tree is considered to be knowledgeable or a knower of the Vedas. So he has understood the essence of the Vedas, he has understood the essential teaching of the Vedas, that the Karam Kand section of the Vedas is going to keep you bound to the material zone. So there is another significance to the word Chandamsi. Chandamsi also means that which unseals or unlocks. So the hidden meaning behind the Vedas, one who is able to unlock it, then he gets the knowledge and the weapon of detachment to be able to cut down this material energy. So in chapter 14 it is explained how one can go beyond this by rooting oneself in the Brahma energy, the Brahmalok. So when you have this tree, the baseline is Brahmalok, which is the highest of the 14 material planetary systems, the lowest of course being Patal Lok. So Brahmalok is where these roots are going downward, and from Brahmalok you can go upward to the spiritual sky. So Brahmalok is the highest plane of the material existence. So below that is the reflection of the spiritual tree, which is above Brahmalok, and below is the material existence. And so the baseline or the transition area is Brahmalok, which is in chapter 14 in the last shlok. Krishna had said that one who is rooted in the Brahma energy, on the impersonal Brahman, which gives all joy, bliss, happiness, and that is the Reiki energy. We had covered this last time. Okay. So this is the first shlok. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham Ashwatham Prahu Avyayam Chandamsi Yasya Paranani Ya Tam Vedasa Vedavit. Now, Ashwatham means both the banyan tree representing imperishability, and Ashwath also means that which is temporary. Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Swami in his commentary to the Bhagavad Gita has explained this very nicely, that the Ashwath meaning embodies imperishability as well as temporary nature, the transient nature of the material world. So what that is that the cycle of the material worlds come and go, but essentially it remains. Even when it's not existing, there is a future material world that is going to come up. And the downward roots also have been explained as the desire-based action that comes in the material world to keep us attached to the material world, to fruitive activities. The upward rising roots are considered to be the subtle impressions of what we have enjoyed in our previous lifetimes. So the upward roots are the impressions that we are remembering from the past, and we are wanting to continue that enjoyment, and the downward is the action-oriented area that comes from the objects of the senses, which are the sprouts or the twigs of the tree. So these sprouts or twigs are the objects of the senses, and the downward roots are the enjoyment or the attraction towards it, the pull towards it, which keep us attached to the material world. Then we have the second text, second shlok, which Krishna is talking about. Adhas chordhvam prashritas tasya shakha guna pravriddha vishaya pravala adascha mulyani anustantanti karmanubandhini manushya-loke. Adha cha urdhvam prashrita tasya shakha guna pravriddha vishaya pravala adha cha mulani anusantatani karma anubandhini manushya-loke. So this is that the branches of the tree represent the living entities, the tasya shakha, the jivas, and the shoots are representing the objects of the senses. And the upward rising branches extend to the higher planes of existence, while the downward branches extend to the human plane of existence, taking root in the world of humans governed by binding karma. Karma anubandhani, bound by previous action. So this is covering that aspect, where the lower roots and the higher roots are involved. The actual root is Krishna. The central root of everything, including the material existence, is Krishna. And the material tree is rooted in Brahma, in the energy, the impersonalistic Brahma energy, which is then rising upward. And from the Brahmalok, either you can go up or you can go down. And the elements are the Vedic hymns. The Vedic hymns are there, the 5 elements are there in the branches. So this is the construct of the material universe going back to chapter 14. And there are demigods, and then at the lowest level are the human beings, and then below them are the animals and the insects and so on and so forth. And the other important thing that has been stated is that Anusantatani is the secondary causal factor of this material existence, that is the desire and the search for fruitive action, so karma. So, born in the karma zone of existence means the world of humans, Manushya Loki, and this is the upside down root and the representing the spiritual which is rising upward. Now, the ability to act in this way to get the knowledge is not available in the lower life forms. So, while we are talking about the world of karma and the world of humans, the other understanding rather is that only the humans can elevate themselves because they have the capacity to gather the knowledge, to associate with the community of devotees, of spiritualists, which is critical for rising upward, because it's very difficult to go on your own without the protection and support of the community of healers, or community of spiritualists, or Brahmins. So that is how one is working in the material world. So this explains that how you get the reactions good and bad according to whether you follow the injunctions as given in the Vedas, as given in the teachings of how to progress further. And so one should look at that. So ultimately, even in the Bhagavatam it is said that for Kali Yuga, for this age, for the ease of understanding for people who are not qualified, which is practically everybody. So in all the 4 categories of people, whether you are Brahmin, whether you are Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, and then they have expanded this definition to include women, children, and others who are actually not knowledgeable about the nature of the spiritual world and the Vedas. So it is meant for people, and it is said better than the Vedas is the study of the Mahabharata, because that explains very well how one can be liberated, and the Bhagavad Gita is a core part of the Mahabharata. This is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and this is being explained to Arjun, the whole process of life, death, and how to get liberated from these conditions. So we will pause here at chapter 15, text 2, and if there are any questions, I will take them. I will repeat the shlokas once again. The Supreme Lord Krishna said, the scriptures say that the material world is like a banyan tree which is imperishable and yet temporary, that has its roots rising upward and its branches going downward, and the leaves nourishing this tree are the Vedic hymns of the Karmakand section, and one who knows the truth of the nature of this tree is called a knower of the Vedas. And the branches of this tree represent the jivas, the living entities, and the shoots represent the objects of the senses. The upward rising branches extend to the higher planes of existence, while the downward branches extend to the human plane of existence, taking root in the world of humans who are governed by binding karma based on their actions, and they get the results accordingly. So the only way to get rid of this tree is to cut it with the axe, the weapon of knowledge and detachment, and other commentators in our lineage have said that this can happen most effectively in the presence of other spiritualists, devotees, healers in the community, because then as a community you move forward together. Otherwise, just knowing the Vedas by rote without the essential meaning is useless. And in fact, in the Chanda Yoga Upanishad, there is a very satirical sequence of poetry, which is like a play. There's actually a play that makes fun of the Brahmins who are only the chanting the Vedas without knowing. They're like by rote, like parrots, and they don't actually know the essential part of the Vedas. It's not known to them. So if there are any questions on these two texts, I will take some questions.
So we've got this tree and the branches are coming down and the roots are
Going up, yes.
So the branches coming down is reflecting the material.
The material,
And
yes.
the branches
Going up are reflecting the spiritual endeavor.
And in between would be the
Yeah, it is all rooted in the Brahma energy, in the Brahmalok, the universal life force energy which is
oscillate
flowing.
between.
So you are in the material zone at the moment, and with this process that you are going for your spiritual development, you are rising upward.
So where is the tree? Like branches up there?
Yeah, the regular tree is branches up, and then it's reflected in the material world like this. So it is up or down like that. So the downward tree is where we are. We are thinking the lowest point is very good, whereas in the spiritual world, the branches and so on are the highest point. The fruits are coming, and those are spiritual fruits. Here there are material fruits, the good and the bad ones. So based on our actions, we get good and bad results, and we create our own problems for ourselves. That's how this works.
When we're going for the fruits which are down, then we are getting...
Yeah, you're getting more entangled. Exactly. You're getting more entangled when you're working for fruitive activity. Karam Yoga, Karam Kand section, it tells you, do like this so you get more money, do like this, you get long life, do like this, you'll get heavenly planets. So when you go to the heavenly planets, at the end of it, when you use up that karma, you come back down here again. So it is endless. But with spiritual work, you can skip the heavenly planets. The point is to go beyond Brahmalok, into the spiritual zone completely, to the Vaikuntha Lok, which is where there is no kuntha, there is no lamentation, there is no sorrow. So that is the goal. And the central energy through it all is Krishna's. So whether in the material world as his separated inferior energy or his separated superior energy, the first is the elemental energy that creates the universe, the Panch Mahabhuta. And then the spiritual energy which is separated is the Triguna Maya. The Lakshmi energies which are separate, that create the three modes of material nature which keep one in illusion and delusion. The illusion is I am the body and this is the only important thing. The delusion is I am supreme. So there are many delusions, many illusions arising out of this, but keep us bound to the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease.
So but the Lakshmi energies also include the Reiki energies which are unseparated?
Yeah, that is the Brahma energy.
But they are part of the Lakshmi energy.
They originate from Shri energies, yes. That is
unseparated and the separated.
the separated is the qualities. The Sattva Gun, Rajogun and Tamagun, those are the superior energy qualities which are separate from Krishna. So, but they are coming from Lakshmi ji eventually. And Maya Devi, Yog Maya is coming from there. Yog Maya is in the spiritual world and Maya Devi is here. So Maya Devi's job is to keep us in illusion and create obstacles for us based on our own action, and then also to allow us. If you go through 14th chapter, it will tell you all this. So that reference is given there. Okay. Any other questions anyone has?
Was a tree in the material universe, is this normal tree that we should.
Yeah, they're like a banyan tree.
So we are down here at the root.
We are down here, roots descending down from Brahmalok to the material.
Okay, and so here we're wishing for that, and so we're coming up.
No, we are wishing to go down further. Because the downward tree fruits of the tree, the higher branches of the downward tree.
Oh, the down.
It's the downward tree, the roots are like this, the branches are downward. We are wanting more of this down stuff. Hanji.
She
Question.
drew it upside down by roadside.
Sorry?
Mom drew it upside down.
It's an upside down tree.
No, but she drew the, like, this is the horizon, this is the tree. She drew the spiritual tree upside down, so the material tree was upside down.
No, you just change the label. Just change the label, spiritual up and material down.
Yeah, because the roots are here.
Yes. And the roots going upward are also here. Because that is the foundation. The roots are, this is the Brahma energy, and the tree going down is material. That is the difference. Anything else? You understood all this perfectly. You are liberated now. Huh? Nikal gaye. Samajh aa gaya. Huh?
So we have to detach. No?
We are detached.
The
Then
first
tomorrow,
time I understood the leaves.
tomorrow you 5 minutes later you'll send healing for this and healing for that to the तो detach कहाँ हुआ? But you must do that process.
So वही तो करना है.
हाँ वही करना. So gradual detachment will be there. So the detachment will come from detachment to the results that one experiences. So that is to be done. So detachment from results. Work you must do. So this work attaches one to the material world. So the Karam Kand section is actually promoting the continuity of this tree. At the same time, it is offering you liberation from this tree. Now, which side you go to, that depends on your inner state and your previous impressions that you have. So if you have enough of the upward rising roots going into the spiritual world, then those will remind you, I need to work on my spiritual life. And this is only available in humankind. So that it has been said Manushya Lok. So Manushya Lok means actually the human form as well as the place where there is karma, where the rules of karma govern. So you have karma, you have vikarma, and you have akarma. So the last is what we are interested in, the negating the karma. So that akarma aspect we need to get into. Yes.
So if we take the banyan tree, then the roots, we would say, are the are negative karma, which is going from the tree itself into the ground level.
See, the tree is upside down. And remember, the banyan tree has roots coming from the branches also.
Yeah.
So the roots that are from the branches that are going upward towards the root and towards Brahma, those are the spiritual roots. They are driven by spiritual energy. And the roots that are coming down to create other trees and other branches, that is the material roots.
That's
So
what
it's upward and downward, going up and down like this simultaneously. The branches are sending roots and the roots are sending branches. So it is a very peculiar tree.
So if we take a congregation of the banyan tree, we all are those.
Yeah, so
trees
there are
put
different trees.
together.
You can say that, yes, the branches of not the trees. You're not so great as the tree, but your branches,
The branches
twigs,
of the
yeah,
tree,
little
all
things,
over us.
little tuchu things, twigs, little twigs. The demigods are slightly bigger branches. The material nature is the branches, but you can say the whole tree is made up of living entities. If you look at your own body, it is a tree. The soul is very tiny. The super soul is also very tiny simultaneously, is atomic in size. And the tree is very big. So the upward rising tree is the crown chakra and above. The lower chakra is patal lok. Patal means below your talvas, below your feet soles. That is the darkness. Because why under your feet soles when you are standing or placing your feet on the ground, there is no light. So patal lok, talatal, sutal, bhut, all those hellish planets are there because there is no light of the divine reaching it. So the downward tree, the branches, the topmost branches of the downward tree are actually hellish condition. So the whole thing is reversed, upside down, topsy-turvy. Any other questions?
So, what is the role of Vedas in this?
The role of the Vedas, it has been explained, it nourishes, they are the leaves of this tree. They support this tree, they nourish this tree, they nourish the activities of this tree, whether material or spiritual. So the person who actually understands this, that this tree is made of various types of material and spiritual activities are hidden inside, and the upward rising branches are the spiritual activity, the others descending ones are the material ones, and the leaves are the ones that adorn and create the sustenance for this whole tree to live. So that is the Karam Kand section. So the Karam Kand section is meant to keep this tree going. So that's why Krishna right in the beginning says, leave the Karam Kand section out.
So,
These are all fruitive. He starts with Karma Yoga. And he says at the end of it, Karma Yoga, you must transcend Karma Yoga to go to Bhakti Yoga. And from Bhakti Yoga, you come to the point of liberation. And this is that liberation knowledge. So the Vedas are simultaneously supporting this tree and maintaining it. And at the same time, they can be self-negating.
so leaves are at the both end of the tree.
It is in the
Just
spiritual
top,
tree, yeah.
Also, leaves are there. and
Leaves are
at
there.
The bottom
Also the leaves are there. Yeah, the bottom leaves are based on the Vedic hymns, which give you guidance how to act. So, guidance as to how to act is good, but guidance as to how to act to perpetuate your material life is not good, which is what the Vedas also do. Because they tell you, you do this, you will go to the heavenly planets, and that is an aspirational place. So all the yuppies will go for that place, upwardly mobile to the heavenly planets. When their fuel and credit card runs out, they come back down, right? Then again they start. So it's eventually a useless process, because it is uselessly repetitive. We keep doing it again and again and again, and we are suffering, and we do not know next time which bodily form we will take, because only in the human form, Manushya Loke, human form aspect of the material world, are we able to comprehend these things. And that can be comprehended only by somebody who is spiritually connected. Only such a person can really comprehend this. So spiritual connection is very necessary. Without it, you won't have the clear mind and the clear brain. So that is very important. So that is where you start with. Then how much you work with it depends where you progress. You can have a spiritual connection and be completely off track also. So it's very dangerous and difficult.
So that's why you're writing this book of knowledge, sir, for us, which your book you're writing for us how to behave, what to do to.
Well, it is meant to guide people who have no knowledge of spirituality. And also from there you can get guidance those who do have knowledge of spirituality. Yeah. So it is talking about karma, what the karmic reactions, consequences, relationships, the interactions between people, what does it get you and where are you going at the end of the day. There is also spiritual knowledge in that book.
Book of knowledge.
There is some, definitely some spiritual knowledge is there, but it is not very much in the forefront because most people are not really interested. Just like Dr. Mikao Usui found that people were interested in getting their material problems sorted out first, which is okay. So the Vedic leaves of this tree are similar. Okay, this is how you solve your material problems. So you engage in these, you develop more pious activity, you develop more in the mode of goodness. Eventually you will get knowledge and be happy with that knowledge, and you'll start to get detached. So the Vedas are very important for that. But at the same time, you must leave them behind. On the trunk of the tree, there are no leaves. So when you're traveling upwards, you will reach a path where there are no Vedas. Only spiritual energy. Vedas are left behind now. You have to go beyond the Vedas. So you can use that analogy of the tree the same way, that the tree is upside down, the roots are up, branches are downward, and the leaves are here. So now those leaves are all finishing. As I go up towards the Brahma. And beyond Brahma, there are going to be the spiritual energy. But it is, like, for example, where the Vahan of Vishnu is Garuda, eagle, right? When he flaps his wings, they are all Vedic hymns coming from his flapping of the wings, the sound. So when you have the Rig Veda means speech and Samved is sound. So this is from the breath. So Sam means breath. So this is the breath that powers the sound is coming from the Vedic hymns. So the Vedas are actually powering, the knowledge in the Vedas is powering up. So there are a number of ways that one can examine this. So even a single shlok of the Bhagavad Gita can expand exponentially like the banyan tree. So this is particularly very complex knowledge, which has been simplified for us by the spiritual masters. Sridhar Maharaj's commentaries are very, very incisive and enlightening as well. And of course, Bhaktivedanta Swami has given his commentary, but I could not really understand exactly what he meant till I read Sridhar Swami's commentaries. So that took some time. So Sridhar Swami has made it very, very easy to understand. But basically, this aversion to the divine, which is actually the fundamental principle of material creation, is the aversion to be with the divine, to associate with the divine. One has to develop now the liking. So that is happening through practice, through methodologies, like when you chant the Maha Mantra, you are doing some congregational chanting of the holy names. So the holy names are spiritually powerful regardless of who is chanting, because they impart the quality. Whereas if you follow the Vedic technical section, you have to be Brahmin and so on and so forth. So many mantras require you to be Brahminical, initiated, before you can chant them. But the Maha Mantra is one such which is being reconfigured for us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu almost 500 years back, where it does not require Brahminical Om. Original mantra is with Om, and it started as Om Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So typically at that time, the Muslims who were in Navadvip, they were very inspired and they said, we can't chant this mantra because we are Muslims, we are not Brahmins. So Mahaprabhu meditated, he said, fine. So this is, you drop the Om, turn it around, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, and that is the Maha Mantra. So anybody, anytime, whether you are qualified, unqualified, in the human form of life can chant this. But any being that listens to this sound will also uplift himself or itself and get the benefit of the chanting. So somewhere in their next births they will take a higher position. Okay. So we will conclude here at text 2 of chapter 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, thank you. See you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Nalin K. Narula on GettingPositiveKarmaNow.com.